everybody? This is the MOBC, my own boxing community. Please like, share, and subscribe on my channel. You're gonna get boxing talk when the topic is boxing, and you'll also get my workout videos. All right, so that's that. MOBC, my own boxing community. This is Ross Clot 222, aka Excalibur. All right. I had to get up so early to get this fight, to watch this fight with Jin Sasaki versus Brian Norman Jr. And let me just say right off the bat, shout out to, I'm going to give two shouts out. Shout out to Brian Norman Jr. for elevating the sport of boxing, elevating the American scene in boxing, doing something that American boxers get criticized about. And that's not traveling outside their comfort zone and fighting in a place where they might not be on an even playing field. They might be in a place where they're at a disadvantage. Whatever the case is, shout out to Brian Norman for doing what a lot of our popular fighters today isn't doing, right? Brian Norman Jr. took a chance to fight someone who isn't a pushover in his backyard. So hats off to Brian Norman Jr. And also respect goes out to Jin Sasaki for one, taking on a challenge with someone like Brian Norman Jr., who is a pretty good puncher. And number two, for displaying heart, showing heart, even in defeat, going out on his shield, still trying to win this fight. So salute and respect to Jin Sasaki. I thought this was a good fight. It was very entertaining. Like I said, I was still wiping, the eye boogers or whatever, waking up, trying to get this fight, watch this fight live. And entertaining fight. All right. One of the things that I noticed is that, okay, so for one, Jin Sasaki started out as a lightweight, okay, and he racked. He's a natural lightweight. He moved up to 140. I forgot the guy's name who beat him at 140, but I do remember the other guy being slightly bigger than Sasaki at 140, and he got stopped. And then shortly after that, Sasaki goes on to fight at 147, racked up a couple of wins. I believe he went like 3 or 4 fights or something crazy, like 3 or 4, I think 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, knockouts in a row, right? Salute UGC Flame. Yeah, the fight was early as right. So Sasaki was on a subscribe to UGC Flame, y'all. So Sasaki racked up 4, like some wins. 5 of them, I believe, is by stoppages. And when I was reading up on some of his opponents, one of those opponents he fought at welterweight started out as a bantamweight. So even at 47, he's still fighting guys that's just not natural 147 pounders. Now, I want you guys to pay attention because there's a lot of people out there who like to say, Crawford is the same size as Canelo. He's the same height as Canelo. Oh, look at Charlo. He's the same size as Canelo. Benavidez, he's big. He's the same size as Beterbiev. Like people have this notion, this belief that because you're like the same height and even the same weight, that you're equally the same size. Now I want you guys to pay real close attention if you didn't. If you look at the fight, okay? Brian Norman Jr. had rehydrated only 11 pounds. All right? He only rehydrated only 11 pounds. Now I don't know how many pounds Jin rehydrated, but I'm going to go on a limb and say he rehydrated about the same. All right? Now, they're pretty much the same height. Brian Norman Jr. is about an inch or two longer reach, but they're not the same size, everyone. Okay? We need to stop saying that, oh, this 135-pound fighter is the same size. You know, Devin Haney is the same size as Boots. You know, Hitchens is the same size as Medramov. You know, no, there's weight classes for a reason. And when you see, when the camera panned over, there was I don't know what round it was because the camera's always panning back and forth. One of the rounds where the camera panned over to Brian Norman's backside, and you couldn't even see Jin Sasaki. Like, the size difference was like so obvious, right? The size difference was ridiculous. Okay, you can see the wide back, thicker legs, like big, like just looking more solid. I mean, he looks solid. You could look at Jin, and it could be a genetics thing. I don't know. Jin didn't look solid at 147. It's almost like Jin was like, I don't know, maybe forced to fight at 147. Maybe he feels stronger there at 147. I don't know. But he definitely was the smaller man in this fight. Number two, Jin Sasaki. Too many reckless and wild hooks. Too many reckless, wild hooks. While Brian Norman was crisp, he stood perfect stance. He was shooting the jab. One of the things that I noticed about Jin is when he was throwing his left jab to the body, he was leaning to his right, downwards, towards a left hook. And the saying is you don't hook with a hooker. And he's trying to go toe-to-toe with the puncher. Now, I don't know if trainers today, I don't know if I get it. I know that these Asian fighters, these Japanese fighters, and these Korean fighters, these guys are warriors. Like, they fight. They've been like this. You could go back in history, right? Aaron Pryor's favorite fighter, Fighting Harada. If you guys haven't heard of Fighting Harada, go watch him fight, and you'll see a reason why Aaron Pryor spoke highly of this guy, right? These guys are warriors. Salute, Mr. Big Playboy. Any know that the man doing? I know he went to the hospital. Oh, I don't know. I hope he's doing okay, man. Yeah, Jin looked like a child. I hope he's doing okay. He's going to the body, leaning downwards to a left hook. He's throwing looping hooks, and if you watch this fight now, I know he got dropped twice in the first round, and he still kept going at him. He's like, come on, come on, come on. It's like at some point you got to come up with a game plan. You go in your corner, you guys got to come up with a game plan. You got to make adjustments. Making adjustments is actually thinking in there and saying, well, what am I doing wrong? What is it that I'm doing wrong where I watched this fight, and if you watch this fight, the third round, forget the first round. He took a beating in the third round. All right? That third round, he was getting cooked. Right? He was getting fried up and cooked. Air fryer, deep fryer, crock pot, you name it. Family barbecue, whatever the case may be. He was in the third round, he was getting cooked. And I'm like, man, this fight is not gonna last another round. And he lasted what, two more rounds. But the left hook was inevitable. He made too many mistakes leading up to getting caught with a left hook, right? And like I said, I don't speak the language. I don't know what they're saying in the corner, but man, you guys got to come up with a game plan. You know what I'm saying? You guys got to come up with a game plan. Yeah, reminding me of Roy Jones Jr.'s. Yeah, I mean, listen, those hooks, Brian Norman is not the fastest, but he does have good speed. And if you have good speed and good timing, you don't need to be Sugar Ray Leonard or Macho Camacho in terms of speed. You don't have to be Terry Norris or Medrick Taylor. If you got good timing and decent speed, those punches they're going to connect. They're going to connect. And what I saw in Brian Norman is the kid is pretty good. I don't know if you guys watched his last fight. I don't know the guy's name is quick. I can't remember the guy's name, but that guy was just too relaxed. I think he was a Puerto Rican kid. He was too relaxed. He was so just nonchalant. It's like, okay, you don't want to be tense, but you want to be relaxed, but you can't be too relaxed, because if you're too relaxed, you sleep, you get caught with something. And that's what Brian Norman did to that opponent, right? I think he stopped him with a left hook. Right? We talking about Ryan Garcia left hook. This guy is a hooker. You know what I'm saying? Brian Norman could crack. And he is a threat at 147. And the way the landscape is looking right now at 147, with the guys from 140 coming up, this isn't like back in the days where some of the 140 pounders that was coming up to 147 was legit threats. I mean, Teofimo Lopez, he's not a legit threat. Devin Haney is not a legit threat. You know what I'm saying? Going to fight at 47. If Hitchens move up to 147, I don't see him trying to fight Brian Norman. You got Mario Barrios is there, who I don't think is he's not the most elite at 147, but he's a title holder, right? Memory loss. Damn. Yeah, I can't remember the fight. Dang, I just checked and it says he's suffering from memory loss. Oh man, that's sad, man. Man, that's really sad. I hope he pulls through, man. It's like he got hit and he hit the back of his head. You know what I'm saying? And I want to also say this too, right? This is why it's really important to have father figures in your son's life, and obviously in your daughter's life too. But in your son's life, I really like how Brian Norman carry himself, just like Boots, right? These guys aren't bad boys. They're really respectful, really matured. Know when to talk his smack, right? I like what he said after the fight about Boots, with the Boots is running analogy, right? That metaphor that he used. I like how he carried himself, right? Abdullah Mason, these guys carried themselves in a respectable way. Even Devin Haney. Devin Haney may say, a couple of ignorant things here and there, but his father does all the talking for him, right? But he's super respectful. Same thing goes with Kid Austin, right? Floyd Schofield. I think Floyd Schofield. Father does all the talking, but you can see his son is really, really respectable, and they know how they're not ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Unlike some other fighters out there where they don't have a father figure in their life, some of them, or their father wasn't there, whatever the case may be, and they're ignorant, right? You probably won't ever see Abdullah Mason slap a girl up on TV, or picking fights or something, in the public or whatever. But what I saw in Brian Norman with the landscape of the 147-pound division, and with Boots leaving the division, I think that he's gonna probably be the person to watch. He's going to be that Spence that we was, people had their eyes on, the Crawfords that they had their eyes on. I think he's going to be that guy that everyone is going to be watching, because that was Boots. And we all want to see Boots and Brian Norman fight. But if Boots is honestly really having a problem making 147, I don't think he should stay there. I know everybody's going to say he's ducking the smoke. Whatever the case may be, we're not in his shoes. We're not the ones cutting weight. If I know that I'm not 100%, I'm sorry, Brian Norman, I can't give you that fight because I can't make weight. Now, if you can make 154, come see me, because that's where I'm going. Otherwise, you have your legacy at 147. I'm going to try to make my legacy at 154. But I do we all wanted to see that fight. But if you cannot make the weight, you got to move up, right? And it's not like, I don't want you moving up like Haney, Boots. Don't be like, I'm going to move up to 154, but we're going to have us a catch weight at 151. Like Devin Haney with his 144 pounds, 145 pounds, or whatever the case may be. That's why I said Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney and Rollies and all these guys are the almost welterweight division, right? You got junior welterweight, and then they made up their own, the welterweight bridger weight, right? Almost welterweight. Then you have the welterweight. I want Boots. You're going to go to 154. You fighting at 154. Don't meet nobody up there and be like, we fighting a catch weight at 151. Now, I know it. I get it. Any, even a pound above the weight class, you're in a newer weight class. I don't care. If you guys agree to a certain weight, that's the catch weight. All right? So, Brian Norman is this guy's a legit threat, y'all. And I would love to see him fight Rolly. I would love to see him fight Ryan Garcia. I would love to see him fight Tio, since Tio was talking all that smack like he want to fight Boots. Well, Boots is leaving 154. Call out Brian Norman. He got a belt. He got that WBO. Call out Brian Norman. Feel me? Ain't no ducking at 154. It's all smoke in the whole division. That's a fact, Vaughn. That's a fact. 154-pound division is so stacked right now. Listen, man. Boots is gonna have. He's gonna be up there with some dogs, and he's gonna have to show and prove. And I think Boots. I think Boots is a natural 154 pounder of today's standards. I think if he can make the weight comfortably, he'll be part of that talk and being a threat. The only thing that I'm skeptical about is how is his power gonna be? How is his speed gonna be at one? Is he gonna still be fast? Because he's claiming at 147 he's like 34% or whatever, and it's like, dude, you look phenomenal fighting Stanionis. Like, I don't think only people who picked Stanionis to beat you was people who just don't like you personally for whatever reason. But like us real boxing fans, we was like, yeah, Stanionis, he gonna be on that grill too. He gonna be in that crock pot too. He getting cooked, right? When Boots get finished with him, he a bowl of gumbo, straight up. True words. He doubled down quick. T.O. would last with Norman. Brian Norman would, listen, Mr. Big Player, Brian Norman will beat the dog crap out of T.O. Fima. Listen, I want everybody out there, if you didn't see the fight, go watch Claggett. Go watch Claggett versus Teofimo Lopez. And tell me Teofimo Lopez didn't have to work his butt off to get a win. Claggett was pressuring him and kicking his butt all up and down that ring. All right? That's why you don't see nobody at 140 calling out Claggett for a tune-up. All right? Because you're going to have to work. You feel me? Claggett is down there like Madonna or somebody, right? He down there like Madonna. He if you don't train properly, you getting cooked by Claggett. All right, Claggett got like eight or what he got like 7 or 8 losses or something like that. He was out there, he was beating T.O. up and down that post. T.O. Hey, Brian Norman will straight cook that dude. Boots was gonna cook him. I think Haney gonna cook him. Haney will cook him too. Because Haney is a legit welterweight. Like I said, I say it all the time. Haney out of pocket. Bro was a 47 fighting at 35. Straight up. But back to Jin Sasaki and Brian Norman. I think it was an exciting fight. It's too bad that fights like that, overseas is so early in the morning, that it's basically for diehard boxing fans. Let's keep it a buck. This wasn't for the casuals. This is for diehard. And thank goodness that there's streaming sites out there or whatever. However, case I don't want to snitch on nobody out there. You know what I'm saying? But thank goodness for this new era because you could get access to a fight that early. Because back in the days when it was fights overseas, you missed it. You didn't get to see it. And now we have a chance to see it. And if you didn't see it, you could watch the whole replay on YouTube. Not the Claggett work. Yeah, man. Claggett was giving him the business, UGC. Hey, Black. You know he was, Black. That's why I go back to Claggett, man. I always say, hey, man, you don't want to lose to nobody with name Claggett. Hey, Teal was getting worked in that fight. Worked. He was getting worked. Put Claggett. You think Ramirez couldn't cut off the ring? Put Claggett in there. Claggett, he'll gain 5 more pounds for Haney. I bet he cut that ring off. let Haney pick Claggett for a tune-up and decide he don't feel like training. This is gonna be a walk in the park. See what happens. Yo, shout out to Brian Norman, man. I think this is a bright future for this kid, man. And hey, man, listen. If these guys at 140 start moving up, like I said, if they're welterweights now and you say you guys are welterweights, Rolly just made a statement, showed the world maybe 147 is where he belonged. Maybe, 135 just wasn't it. I tried 140. 40 just wasn't it. Rolly wasn't supposed to lose to nobody like Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz is one-dimensional. You know what punch he gonna throw. That's why he got outboxed by that tall, skinny kid. Because he throwing hooks with a high guard. Right? He is the same size as a toddler at a daycare. Rolly wasn't supposed to lose to him, so maybe it's the weight. Maybe it's the weight cut. Rolly ain't a little dude. He at 47. Give a shot to Brian Norman. Let's see what happens. That would be a really good fight because we got 2 punchers in there. On top of that, Rolly low-key got a little bit of skills. I know y'all be playing with Rolly. Rolly got a little bit of skills, right? Got a little bit of skills. You can say what you want about Haney, so he was gun shy. You could tell. He's not the same after fighting Ryan Garcia, that cheater, the Osterine cheater. He might not be the same. And that may be true. Like I said, I don't know. Mentally, he might not be the same. But no one's talking about when Rolly started landing them bombs on Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia was hesitant. He was hesitant to throw his shots. He was hesitant to let his hands go. All right? Maybe he, too, mentally not there. Especially when you don't got the PEDs in you. You feel me? Salute Red Glove Militant. Salute. You know what I'm saying? Norman will walk him into something like Tank did. Yeah, probably. Norman is strong, man. This dude is strong. He looked like a 147 fighter. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Boots, where Boots come in there and it's like, damn, Boots look like, people be exaggerating, the haters. He look like a super middleweight. Nah, Boots really looked like a 54, right? Almost a 60. He looked like a 54 fighting at 47. But when you look at Brian Norman, he only rehydrated 10, 11 pounds. That kid is a legit 147 pounder. And I see him, like I said, being a threat. Listen, just Sasaki could hit. It's not like he can't hit. Now, given the opponents that he got at 147, like I said, 5 something stoppages in a row, minus his last fight before Brian Norman, that went to decision. But he caught Brian Norman with some good shots. And Brian Norman was eating them, right? He was eating those like Skittles, right? He was eating them. You know what I'm saying? Straight hot chips in there. I'm eating all of these hot chips. But that goes to show you that was one of those examples of sometimes when you move up in weight and you really don't belong in that weight. This would show Sasaki could crack. Those punches probably would have been hit different at 140, hitting someone else. But now you hitting a legit 147 pounder. And he was eating those. He can be hit. But he can also get hit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yep. Salute. MOBC strong, my own boxing community. Yeah, so it's like we waiting on to see what's next. Like I said, I hope whoever wins out of Mario Barrios and Manny Pacquiao, that these guys start mixing it up. These promoters got to start working together, because we're not going to get the Boots and Brian Norman. All right, that's out of the picture. We're not getting that unless Brian Norman move up to 154. However, there's still good fights to be made. We got Rolly down there. You could even make let Ryan Garcia rack up like a couple of wins. Make it, let him be stupid on camera so he can sell himself. He could probably get Brian Norman. Brian Norman cook him. Or we could get Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? But I really hope that Brian Norman get a shot at Barrios, the winner of Barrios and Pacquiao. Because I do think, Father Time is going to catch up with Manny Pacquiao. 4-year or something layoff. The exhibition don't count. I got Barrios winning, but I'm rooting for Manny Pacquiao. But let's get it on. Let's see what's up. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, salute, Claymore. Salute, man. Yo, man. Salute, man. That's the bro right there, man. Salute, man. Yeah, man. That's the bro, man. Salute. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So I really hope, like I said, we're not getting the Boots fight, but we're not getting the Boots fight. But like I said, there's other fights to be made. And I think at the end of the day, we probably won't get a lot of the fights that we want. Like, we probably won't ever get a Devin Haney and T.O. We probably won't ever get a T.O. and Hitchens. A Tank in Shakur. We probably won't ever get these fights. But I hope that we get these other fighters that's there to fight. I hope that we get a Russell and Hitchens. You know what I'm saying? I hope that these guys really start mixing up. I hope when Boots go up to 154 that it's no purse bid problems and all that. Just fight. I don't even follow the business. I just want to see these guys fight. That's all it is, right? That's all it is. I just want to see these dudes fight, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the sport of boxing, it's not going to elevate, and MMA is going to be on its coattail as long as boxing is doing what they're doing now and the best not fighting each other. If they continue down that path, then the boxing will die out, right? We call these guys the Four Kings. Haney and Tank, Shakur, Ryan Garcia. We was calling it, well, not me. Not here at the MOBC, but fans was calling these guys the Four Kings. How can you call these guys the Four Kings when they're not fighting each other? I mean, Tio didn't fight Tank. Tio didn't fight Haney. Tio didn't fight Shakur. Shakur didn't fight Devin Haney. Shakur didn't fight Tank. Shakur didn't fight Tio. Shakur didn't fight Ryan Garcia. We calling these guys the Four Kings because subconsciously we so hungry to see that again. We want to see a Hagler and Hearns type fight again. We want to see a Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard again. We might not get that, right? The landscape after Hearns and Ray Leonard was Lloyd Hunnigan and Donald Curry and Marlon Starlin, right? The landscape at 147 still had an impact, and all these guys mixed it up with each other. Now that these guys moved up in weight, are they going to mix it up? Is Tio and Devin going to mix it up? Or are they just going to continue talking? The dads are going to be, this is a social media era, right? Where all they're doing is just arguing and bickering and saying who got more money, who got the better watch, who got the better car, who got more IG followers. But I haven't heard one fighter say, let's prove in the ring and see who was the better fighter. Yeah, they miles away. They miles away. Straight up. These guys ain't the Four Kings. And the 147 division it's like a lackluster division, right? And if Boots was able to make 147 comfortably, we might have could have had a legit trilogy out of him and Brian Norman. And that would have brought the 147 division back into the eyes of boxing fans. Because besides the heavyweight division and besides the middleweight division, 147 has always been one of the top divisions with the best fighters and the best fights and the most entertaining fights. We don't have that right now. The 147 division is whack. 160-pound division, whack. 168-pound division, whack. They cooking down there at 126 and 130. Even below the bantamweights and down there, they down there rumbling. And you don't see none of them Asians down there, and even the brothers down there going back and forth about the money. They sign a contract, we fight, and I'm going to fight again and make money, and I'm going to fight again and make money. The more you fight, the more money you make. But you dudes just want to fight one fight once and then brag and say, oh, I made such and such with one fight. Yeah, but such and such legacy is better than yours. Yeah, the timing of Boots leaving at welterweight sucks. It sucks, and like I said, if people want to use the term duck, it's whatever. I wouldn't even argue with nobody saying that Boots is ducking Norman, but man, cutting weight is so hard. I mean, even in a person's personal life, trying to lose weight is hard. So imagine a boxer trying to lose a certain amount of weight in 6 to 8 weeks. And most of it is just water weight. You know what I'm saying? The one thing you don't want to do as a fighter is spend 75% of your training camp in preparation for a fight in losing weight. You don't want to do that. That's why back in the days, fighters fought at, what close to their walk around weight. And they just train regular. And they lose the weight. Wasn't hormones in the food back then. I mean, you could eat and you could go on about your business and you make weight. And it was same day weigh-in. And sometimes in some fights, you would weigh in right before the fight, next to the ring, next to the post. You feel me? It was same day weigh-ins back then. So you had to be prepared. You had to train, right? Back then, These guys didn't wasn't no mitts back then. Hitting the mitts. You jump rope and you hit the bag. You shadow box. And you spar. You did some real sparring, some learning sparring. Not the war. I know sometimes there's wars in the boxing gym. It happens. But you gotta learn, right? So I think if the money is right, Boots and Norman can fight. Turk going, yeah, you right. When money talks, you know, and no, what's it call it? Boots would have to start early if like say if they was to make that fight, start early. Like okay, we fighting in September. I'm gonna start training in July. You know what I'm saying? You know, like start early, start getting on that diet, start training so you start losing the weight gradually instead of having to lose it rapidly, right? That's one of the reasons why Oscar De La Hoya, when he went back down to 47 to fight Manny Pacquiao, he had to use an IV to put the liquid back in his body because he was so drained. And he was a walking, you know, he was a weakling, right? So you gotta have to lose the weight gradually. You know what I'm saying? That way you're not spending all that time just, you know, water weight and not drinking any fluid and not eating. It's first of all, it's unhealthy. And the more water that you lose rapidly, the more water you lose from your brain, and the more chances of you getting knocked out is the probability is higher now. You feel me? A lot of the times when fighters get drained, they get hurt easy. I don't know if you guys remember, it was a really good boxer, heavyweight boxer, Chris Bird. He went back down to light heavyweight. He got knocked out. You know, we talking about one of the most elusive boxers in the heavyweight in the 90s, right? He made easy work of David Tua. I never thought highly of David Tua. Never thought he was the next Mike Tyson. Didn't think he was anything like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson would have beat Chris Bird 5 days a week. Twice on Saturday, 3 times on Sunday. Chris Bird wouldn't last 4 rounds with a prime Mike Tyson. Y'all saw what he did to David Tua. Chris Bird go back down to 175, drained, lot of water weight, gets knocked out. Very dangerous. So I really do believe that if Boots was to do it, he would have to strategically lose that weight so he could be healthy. Hire a nutritionist. Hire somebody that's going to help you. Go to Snack. The infamous Snack. Where you will pass every test. Straight up. Neofimo. Pac-Man beats Barrios. T.O. beats Boots. Yeah, I mean, if you think T.O. could beat Boots, man, hey, shout out to T.O. in that analogy. With all the movement going on in 135, 134, they're going to have to fight. I hope so, man, because these guys, they just not fighting, man. I think if the money is right, Boots and Norman can fight. Yep, you're right. Turk is all about undisputed, so it should be easy to make that fight. Man, listen, Turk needs to go call Boots right now because, yo, that's a fight we want to see. That's if we get Boots and Norman fight, that would be like that would be what Spence and Crawford should have been. Prime, you know, no car accident, no alcohol abuse, you know what I'm saying? Just fighting each other in their prime, still in their 20s. You feel me? I really hope that Turk do get a call because now I'm like, man, shoot, man, Turkey, like, holla at him, man. Oh, yeah, you get that Conti special, you good. You good, man. He said, Conti said, yeah, we just going to give you a little bit of zinc and we're going to give you a little bit of vitamin B. And, yeah, we're going to call it a day. You'll pass every test. Hey, Boots better holler at him. You already know. Conte over there making him some good Long Island iced teas over there. You feel me? They good. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Brian Norman, man. I think he's a threat. Like I said, he's the one to be watching right now. He's the one. He's the man. And shout out to Jin Sasaki. He's a warrior, and shout out to him and his family, and the prayers go out to him. And I hope that he pulls through out of this with no ailments. And if it is true that he has some memory loss, retire now. Don't let anyone convince you to continue boxing. Don't let your friends, trainers, all these any leeches, don't let them convince you to continue boxing. You get hit in the back, you get hit like that, hit the back of your head, and there's memory loss. It's time to retire. All right? It really is. It's time to retire. You do your thing. They can fight early December. Give Boots time to get the body right. Yeah, man. Yeah, real talk, man. Y'all subscribe to UGC Flame, man, because UGC Flame, man, be cooking, man, straight up. UGC Flame be cooking. And one of my favorite segments, man, is a Flame of Shame. And hey, Black Horseman, it ain't no bias on that channel either. A Black Horseman will make a 2-hour video giving praise to Devin Haney, and Devin Haney make one slip up. It's a 2-hour Flame of Shame the next day. You feel me? That's the type of channels we like, man, over there. So, subscribe to Claymore Rain too, man. That's the bro over there, man. Yo, man. So everybody, man, thanks for stopping by. This is the MOBC, my own boxing community.